Number 4. Hercules chains Cerberus. Theseus and Medea, Hercules chains the dog Cerberus, the guardian of the gates of the infernal regions. Theseus, after his exploits at Corinth, arrives in Athens, where Medea prepares a cup of poison for him. However, the king, recognizing his son just in time, snatches the cup away before Theseus can drink it, and Medea escapes in her chariot. Ægina then holds a festival to celebrate Theseus' arrival and survival. Meanwhile, Minos, the king of Crete, seeks allies to help him wage war against Athens in revenge for the death of his son Androgeus, who was murdered there. Ægina, feeling responsible for sheltering Medea, not only provides her hospitality, but also marries her. Unbeknownst to him, his son Theseus, who had established peace between the two seas through his bravery, arrives. Medea, using the wolfsbane she brought from Scythia, attempts to poison Theseus. They say this plant sprang from the teeth of the Echidnian dog. Cerberus, resisting fiercely, was once dragged away by Hercules through a gloomy cave, leaving behind venomous foam that turned into aconite, a poisonous plant. Medea tricks Ægina into presenting the poisoned cup to Theseus, but just as Theseus is about to drink, Ægina notices family symbols on his sword and saves him from the poison draught. Despite his relief, Ægina is astonished by the close call and offers sacrifices to the gods in gratitude. The people of Athens celebrate Theseus' safety with feasting, singing, and wine, praising his heroic deeds and the safety he has brought to the land. They make vows in his honor, and the city resounds with joyous acclamations, with no sorrow to be found anywhere. And yet, as is often the case, joy is not without its worries. Despite the return of his son, Ægina's happiness is tempered by the looming threat of war. Minos, fueled by the desire for vengeance for his son Androgeus' death, gathers his forces for battle. With a formidable army and a swift fleet, he sets out to avenge his son's death. He secures alliances with Anafi and conquers the realms of Astapalea. On the other side, he claims Mykonos, Simolis, Sithnos, Syros, Seriphos, Paros with its marble riches, and the island where the treacherous Sithonian betrayed her citadel for gold. Sithonian, transformed into a bird due to her greed, is now known as the black-footed jackdaw, forever attracted to shiny treasures. Chapter 5. Minos at Ægina. Cephalus at Ægina Minos, seeking alliances for his cause, meets resistance from some powers and heads to the island of Ægina, ruled by Ægina, hoping to secure his support. However, his efforts are in vain. As Minos departs, Cephalus arrives as an ambassador from Athens, seeking aid from Ægina. The king recounts how a past pestilence devastated his land, but was miraculously repopulated. While Oliaros, Didyme, Tenos, Andros, Jaros, and Peparithos refuse to aid Minos, he turns towards Oenopia, ruled by Ægina. The locals eagerly anticipate meeting the renowned Minos. Telamon, Peleus, and Phocus, Aeacus' sons, greet him along with Ægina himself. Minos, reminded of his sorrow for his lost son, requests assistance for his cause. However, Ægina, bound by his city's alliance with Athens, declines. Minos departs in disappointment, hinting at the consequences of Aeacus' decision. Meanwhile, an Athenian ship, carrying Cephalus and his plea for aid, arrives in Oenopia. Recognizing Cephalus, Aeacus' sons warmly welcome him and lead him to their father. Cephalus, still retaining his former charm, presents Athens' request and highlights their shared history of alliances. Moved by Cephalus' words, Aeacus considers the matter carefully before responding. Do not ask for assistance, Athens, but accept it willingly, for the resources of this island are yours to command. Let all the strength of my kingdom accompany you. We have ample soldiers for both defense and offense. Thanks to the gods, this is a prosperous time, and I cannot refuse your request, declares Aeacus. Indeed, may your power grow alongside your citizens, responds Cephalus. As I arrived, I was delighted to see the youths of your city, so handsome and united in age. Yet I noticed the absence of many whom I once met here. Aeacus sighs and somberly begins to recount the tragic events. A better fate awaits after a sorrowful beginning, though I wish it were otherwise. Those whom you seek are now but bones and ashes. They were a significant part of my kingdom's strength. A terrible plague sent by vengeful Hera befell us, ravaging our land named after her rival. Initially, the cause was unknown, and we attempted to combat it with medicine, but the devastation surpassed our efforts. Thick darkness covered the earth, and oppressive heat filled the air. The infection spread even to our water sources, and serpents infested our fields, contaminating the rivers. The plague was first noticed by the deaths of animals. Dogs, birds, sheep, and oxen, all succumbing to its grip. Plowmen were astonished to see their strong oxen collapse in the fields, while sheep lost their wool and wasted away. Even our once noble horses were struck, forgetting their former glory as they languished in their stables. The wild beasts, too, like the boar and the deer, lost their vigor, unable to fight or flee as they once did. Animals of all kinds succumb. Corpses litter the woods, fields, and roads, filling the air with a putrid stench. Indeed, these events are strange. Even dogs, birds of prey, and wolves avoid the carcasses, which decay and emit noxious fumes, spreading the contagion further. The pestilence wreaks even greater havoc among the unfortunate farmers and spreads within the city walls. Initially, the symptoms include scorching of the bowels, redness, and difficulty breathing, indicating an underlying fire within. The tongue swells and becomes rough, the mouth parched, and veins throb as they struggle to breathe in the toxic air. Those afflicted cannot bear to lie in bed or be covered. Instead, they lie on the ground, which does not cool their bodies but becomes heated by them. There are no physicians available. Even those who attempt to administer remedies fall victim to the disease, rendering their efforts futile. The closer one is to the sick, and the more faithfully one cares for them, the quicker one succumbs to the illness. As hope of recovery fades and death looms, they abandon all restraint, lying near fountains, rivers, and wells, drinking until their last breath. Many, too weak to move, perish beside the water, while others, desperate, drink from it. The afflicted despise their beds so much that they leap out or roll on the ground if they lack the strength to stand. Every person flees their own home, seeing it as a place of doom. Since the cause of the calamity is unknown, blame falls on familiar places. Some wander the roads, half dead, until they can stand no longer, while others weep and lie on the ground, their eyes filled with despair. They stretch their limbs towards the heavens, breathing their last breaths where death finds them.
What were my feelings then? Were they not as they should be, filled with hatred for life and a desire to share the fate of my people? Wherever I looked, I saw the multitude strewn on the ground like rotten apples falling from shaken branches or acorns from a disturbed home oak. Opposite, you see a grand temple towering with long steps. It belongs to Zeus. Who did not offer incense at those altars in vain? How many times did husbands, pleading for their wives or fathers, begging for their sons, end their lives at the altars without success, holding unconsumed frankincense in their hands? How often did bulls, brought to the temples, fall dead while priests poured wine between their horns? While I myself sacrificed to Zeus for myself, my country, and my 3 sons, the victims lowed mournfully, collapsing without any wound, staining the knives with their meager blood. The diseased entrails offered no true signs or warnings from the gods. The pestilence had reached even into the sacrifices. I've seen bodies thrown out before the sacred doors and before the altars to make death more detestable to the gods. Some chose to end their lives with a noose, seeking to escape the fear of death and willingly embracing their fate. The dead received no funeral rites, as the city gates couldn't accommodate the countless processions. They lay unburied on the ground or were placed on pyres without honors. There was no distinction, and they fought over the funeral pyres, burning on fires that belonged to others. There were no mourners, and the souls of sons, husbands, old and young wandered unlamented. There wasn't enough room for tombs, nor trees for funeral pyres.